One meteorologist Bill Rentschler and meteorologist Carmelo Lattuca in the 1011 Now streaming studio for another edition of the Weather Academy. Carmelo, it has been too long since we've got to hang out and we've got to nerd out over our weather stuff, schedules, and all the rest of it. You know, there was an election a couple weeks ago.
We got Thanksgiving next week.
Thanksgiving next week.
So we had to get in this very specific topic.
We did. We wanted to because it might happen next week. The last time we met and the last time we talked, we kind of talked about the winter outlook.
Yes.
That was put out from the Climate Prediction Center. Again, it wasn't necessarily our own winter outlook. It was from the Climate Prediction Center and the National Weather Service and kind of what we could expect. Today, we're going to talk specifically snowfall climatology, kind of what's normal, our highs, our lows, because you and I are both kind of, we like the numbers.
I love the numbers.
We're kind of nerds that way, and so we have a ton of numbers that we can kind of look through as we look back at Snowfall Climatology. That's what we're going to dive into today.
I'm excited. I hope everyone watching is excited. We're going to talk about some snow. I hope we see some snow next week. We're actually running a little bit behind average, Bill.
We are. We're above average for our precip now by just a fingernail. Thanks to
this past Monday was crazy. Almost 2 inches of rain, one of the wettest November days. It's top three, right? We are third.
Well, third wettest November now. I think it was the 10th wettest November day.
It was, yeah.
On record.
We signed records all over the place this week.
Which, love to see it. But it was all rain. It was all liquid. None of it was frozen. So we're going to dive into, and again, we're going to kind of bounce around a little bit because there's a lot of numbers that we can look at. But one of the first things we wanted to talk about, and again, a recent change, Carmelo, was we found the missing snowfall records, and I say we. I have to give credit to Ken Dewey, now retired, but professor over at UNL, helped find the missing snowfall records for Lincoln, because if you look at the precip and the temperature records, they go back to all the way to 1887, but for a long time, the official snowfall records in Lincoln only went back to 1948.
I got to be completely honest with you. I did not know they were missing.
They're missing. Someone misplaced them. I don't know who.
How does that happen? Well, I'm glad they were found, in the short.
They were found.
But I like how we're starting, though, Bill. You say we're going to jump all over the place. I think it actually has a nice flow to it. We're going to start out with the broad, snowfall climatology, seasonal with the days with measurable snow, and then we'll get into the specifics in terms of the first average snowfall.
And so records for snowfall go all the way back to 1897, January 1st, 1897 now. And so since then, if you go back and you look, there have been 2,452 days where measurable snow has fallen in Lincoln.
That's a lot of days.
That is a lot of days. But
remember, measurable could just be, half an inch, less than half an inch. So
it can be anywhere from a tenth of an inch all the way up to 19 inches, which is what we'll look at in just a second.
Yes.
But it comes out to, again, if you look at the actual number of days, kind of, between September and the end of May when we've seen snow, it's about, I think if I remember correctly, about once every 4 days or so. Okay. That might be the rainfall number. That might not be the snowfall number.
I was gonna say that sounds kind of.
Of all the numbers, I'm looking at the spreadsheet here, and of all the numbers I have, this is not one that I have right off the top in my snowfall spreadsheet, which is really unfortunate. I don't know why I don't. So, like in November, I can tell you there's been 3,810 November days in the snowfall record.
Okay.
And it's snowed, if we advance this graphic here, on 209.
That's not a lot.
So the highest percentage of if you look at the month of days with snow is actually going to be January and February.
Yes.
Where it's about 14 to 15%. Of those days.
I mean, that still doesn't sound like a lot, but I guess when you compile
it's not. I think the rain is about once every 4 days. Snow is not about once every 4 days. But this is the breakdown.
And we're nowhere close to the peak.
No,
not yet,
no, we are not. So one day in September, it was September 29th. That's our earliest ever measurable snowfall in Lincoln.
Okay.
Again, I feel like people think October is snowier than it actually is.
Yeah.
And I think that is because of the 97 October snowstorm.
That's all I hear about.
Certainly colors my perception of what October should be. But just 27 days in October.
Yeah, I mean, that's less than the total number of days in the month of October. So
exactly.
Definitely not a lot.
And again, the total number of days, it's 0.68%. So about four.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
It's a small one. But then you see that number obviously jumps up. 209 in November.
Right.
Jumps up again in December. Almost 500. Over 600 in January. That's the peak.
Okay.
Is January. 573 in February. 420 in March. And then you see a pretty big drop off as you head into April. Just 100 days in April have seen measurable snowfall, and just 5 days in May.
I don't know what's more surprising, that there's more. I mean, it's only 4 more, but more snowy days in May than September. I mean, that's just.
I know.
I don't know what to expect out of that. I mean, I guess you would think September's still pretty warm, but then you think it's getting warm, so I guess that's why they're. I don't know. It seems like it would be like almost even, but.
And so if you take all those days with measurable snow, Carmelo.
Okay.
And you add up all the snow that fell on those days.
Okay.
The total snowfall that's fallen in Lincoln since records began January 1st, 1897, is 3,338.6 inches of snow.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's not crazy, given that there's, almost 2,500 days,
So you take that, that's what?
I mean,
So 1897, so it's 120, call it 127 years.
Quick math here.
No, yeah, well, yeah, quick math. So 3,338.6 divided by 127 comes out to 26.3. Our 30-year average for snowfall is 26.1.
Well, there we go.
So yeah,
right
there you go. So that's the breakdown. Number of days, measurable snow in Lincoln. January's the peak. We're kind of surprised.
We're getting closer.
We're getting surprised. We're surprised that the not as many days in October as that we thought we would be. So if you break down those days, the largest one-day totals. Again, recently, you highlighted there in orange.
I was here for the second one.
Was just back a few years ago, January 25th, 2021. We had 14 and a half inches.
Incredible.
That was still a decent amount short of number one.
Yeah, I mean, what, 5.5?
4.5, yeah, 19 inches is actually the highest one-day total for snowfall in Lincoln. That was back on February 11th of 1965. 19 inches of snow, Carmelo, in one day.
So only 9 days in Lincoln's history with double-digit one-day snowfall, because number 10 right there is 9.7.
Correct. And so this is a chance for us to get on our soapbox a little bit.
Okay.
Because this winter season, you've already seen it a couple times in the last couple of weeks. You're going to see a Facebook post, and it's going to say 20 inches of snow or whatever. It's only snowed double digits in Lincoln 9 times.
In over 100 years.
It's so hard for so many things have to go right.
No, they do.
For
You're
you
not
to
wrong.
get a big snow like that.
You have to have the low-pressure system tracked just the right way. You have to have enough moisture. You have to have all these ingredients come together. And you get a lot of these ingredients every year. They just don't come into the same place at the same time. And clearly only 9 times you got enough for it to happen in the capital city. So, I mean, look at it. It's not a lot. I mean, a lot of them haven't really been that recent either. I mean, you have 97. That's the October one. That's the anomaly, I still think, in everyone's opinion. You got the one in 2021. But, I mean, before 2012, I mean, a lot of these are really early into the 1900s.
Even 8 inches or more. If you set the bar at 8 inches, it's only happened 18 times.
Oh, my God. So don't expect a double-digit snowfall unless we start talking about it crazy.
We said it. What was the number? 2,452.
Yes.
Of those, 1,522.
Okay.
So that's what? About 60% or so?
Definitely more than half.
Have been 1 inch or less.
It's not a snowy place is what you're saying.
No. And if you go 3 inches or less, you have 2,141.
Wow, okay.
So you're talking like 80%
we're getting up
of the
there
time.
now.
You're getting less than 3 inches.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's 2,141 for 0.1 to 3, 3.1 to 6 inches, only 244 occurrences, 6 to 10 inches, only 59 occurrences, and then again the 10 plus there, you can see only a handful of times.
Wow. It's unfortunate. I like snow. I like the heavy snows. So
they are fun. They're fun. It was fun in 2021.
14 and a half inches in 21. That was crazy.
I had to go buy a snowblower. I bought a snowblower in advance.
Incredible
of that.
season.
It was. It really was an incredible season. And you can see that season here. This is the snowfall in Lincoln over the past 10 years. You can see the 10-year average there is 23 inches. The 30-year average, again, right at 26 inches. And the all-time average is 26.1 inches.
So a slight decrease, but, I mean, nothing too crazy. You're going from 26.1 to 23. I mean, it is less. I mean, I don't want to discredit that.
Well, but we talked about it when we talked last time with our outlook. In the last 10 years, again, you've had El Niños, you've had La Niñas.
Right.
But in both of those occurrences, you've had not only near-record snowfall, but you've had near-record snowfall both on the high end and the low end. So the last 10 years, you've had 2 of the snowiest seasons on record and 2 of the least snowiest seasons on record.
And I was here for all 4 of those. I mean, I started school in 2018, so we got the 21.4. Then I saw the 55.5 go down to 17.6, 49.4. So you're going up and down significantly. But the last 3 years, Bill, underperforming. Between 5 and 16.5 inches. Again,
26. So if we say like 26 plus or minus like 2 inches, so if we go 24 to 28, the last time we had a maybe quote unquote normal snowfall season was 2012, 2013 when we had 27.5 inches of snow.
I mean, because it's just one number. I mean, it's very unlikely you're going to hit that exact number because we're averaging so many seasons, on top of each other. But I mean, we've definitely seen some up and down. More down, I think, obviously, in the last 10 years, But,
2018, 2019, and 2020 and 2021 do stick out, though.
Yes.
They very much do in the last 10 years. So these are the snowiest seasons on record for Lincoln. Again, this is going back to 1897. But 1914, 1915. Again, this was the nice part about finding the new records.
Right.
Or finding the old records, is that it did make some changes to some of these lists. But that's the snowiest season on record for us here in Lincoln. There was 59.4 inches of snow that year, 1914, 1915.
Gosh, almost 60 inches of snow.
Almost. Almost.
That's a lot.
But again, you can see 2018, 2019 is number 3 on the list. 2020, 2021 is number 5 on the list. Those are 2 of the more recent ones. Other than those, again, everything is pretty far back.
Right. And I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So if you look at just the snowiest months on record, February of 1965 is number 1. You had a season's worth of snow in just that one month.
Wow.
That was also the month that you had the 19 inches of snow fall in one day.
Right.
So February of that year. December 2009, this was when I was in college.
Okay.
This was a fun month because there was like 3 snowstorms and it made it really hard to get around on campus. But you had just over 24 inches of snow in December of 2009. February 2019, again, more recently, there was just over 23 inches of snow.
Right.
And again, those are the more recent ones. It was 2009 and 2019. Otherwise, again, you kind of go pretty far back there.
Surprised March 3 times in the top 10, That's kind of surprising,
It is.
Especially given how, we start to really tail off after February.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, that's you need those low pressure systems to swing off the Rockies.
Yep.
You need to be in the trowel, the trough of warm air aloft. The back end of the low pressure systems is where the heaviest snow tends to be. And again, March is a good time of year for that.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's the heaviest snuff. What about the other side of that coin, Carmelo? Least snowiest seasons on record.
Boo. 5 inches. 5 inches. Seems a little recent, Bill. Tell us how recent it was.
It was just a couple, 21, 22.
That's crazy.
It was pitiful.
I mean, that is insane.
You break it down by month, that season, there was nothing.
I'd be surprised if we got snow in every single winter month.
There was nothing in October.
Okay.
There was only a trace in November.
Still
there
sounds
was
good.
0.8 in December, a whopping 2.9 inches in January.
Okay.
0.1 in February.
0.1 in the month of February. That's what I think is at the
That's
snowiest
our snowiest month on average.
Right.
1.3 in March, a trace in April.
Oh my goodness.
So that 0.1 in February. There's been a handful of months that just have had a trace, but in terms of Februaries that have had measurable snow, that is the least snowiest February.
I mean, just what you were telling me about this past winter season, and that it ended. I know we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that in a second. But
I'll save it. We won't talk about it just yet. But if you think the 5 inches is crazy, what we just talked about before this, pretty crazy too.
All right, so those are the numbers in terms of kind of highest, lowest. But what about when we should expect to see snow? So this is a national view.
Yes.
Average first snowfall. Many areas have already seen their first snowfall. We're still waiting.
Eastern Colorado this year.
They got walloped already.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I love that when you get into the winter season, Brad loves showing the visible satellite. It's going to be something I think we're going to show a lot more in the winter than the summer season. You can see the snow on the satellite. It doesn't move. You know, it melts away obviously on really warm days, but the clouds, you see those move. You see just white patches across the state that don't move. That is snow, and we have seen that in eastern Colorado. What was that, a month ago now? Almost 2-3 weeks ago at least?
It was, yeah, I don't think it was quite a month, but they had several feet of snowfall, and not in the mountains.
Right, I think that's
this
the
is
distinction.
out on
We
the
expect
plains,
that in the mountains, right?
East of Denver. They had several feet of snow, which was pretty impressive.
And I mean, it kind of lines up, you know, maybe just not as much as they were expecting this early on in the season, but you start to get into those purples, the magentas. That's earlier into the season, earlier into the year where you expect your first snowfall, and then the blues, especially those lighter blues, much later on.
Yep, and those places in, again, California, the desert Southwest, South Texas, into the Southeast.
Well,
Snow is extremely rare for those locations. So again, in Nebraska, if you zoom in again on that map, Panhandle, they, you know, on average it's sometime in October, early November for kind of the Sandhills into southwest Nebraska, late November for much of central and then eastern Nebraska, the far southeastern corner of the state. It's late November, early December.
I mean, there's certainly been a few places, right? I think Imperial and North Platte, maybe you've seen some measurable snow.
I don't know if it's measurable. Oh, I don't even know if it was measurable though. But I know there have been some flakes.
Okay.
But we've not had certainly a widespread.
No,
there's been some light,
like 1/10 of an inch across the state now.
And again, you know, these early snows, for the most part, sometimes they don't stick around for very long.
No,
so.
The ground's just too warm. You know, I mean, we've had a pretty warm season, but we're finally starting to cool off too. So that's good.
So here are the numbers for Lincoln.
All right, get into the nitty gritty.
Take us through it, Carmelo.
So, average first snowfall, I was saying we're running just a little bit behind it. I mean, when I say a little bit, it's about as little as it can be, about 3 or 4 days. I mean, average first snowfall is November 18th. And remember, first snowfall, that could be several inches. It's usually under a couple of inches. You know,
0.1 is what we want.
0.1 is the official distinction. A trace means nothing to us. So, the last couple of years, it's kind of been all over the place. I mean, let's look at the last 4 years. You got November 25th, December 19th, December 10th, and October 25th. I mean, maybe this is a reason in recent memory that people think you get more snow in October. You've had 2 in the last, 5 or 6 years.
3.
Your first snow. Oh, 3, okay.
Yeah, 3 years in a row, 2018, 2019, 2020. We had a little bit. So,
but it can be, I mean, look how just variable it is, though. You got from as early as October 14th to as late as, what is that, December 3rd?
Well, I mean, just look at or
December 19th.
Yeah, but I mean, even just historically, not just the last 10 years, the earliest ever is September 29th.
Yes.
So, late September, you had a little under an inch, 8/10. That's a decent amount.
Oh, absolutely.
For September.
Early in the year.
And then the latest first snow ever was actually New Year's Eve.
Could you imagine your latest first snow being almost 8 inches of snow? I mean, that would be quite the shell shock.
That is not
for anybody.
That is not easing into the winter season.
No, it is not
by any means. But you can see last year, it was right around this time, November 25th. Last year we had 9/10. But again, kind of all over the place over the last 10 years. So when you break down the average, again, it's right around 26 inches for the whole season. October does average 9/10. Again, this is the 30-year average, so this goes from 1991 to 2020.
Right.
And again, these numbers are skewed a little bit.
They are.
By the 13 inches of snow we had in October of '97. I'll be really interested.
I know you're about to say. I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I'll let you say it then.
Once we get to 2030,
yep,
we're gonna switch our 30-year normals. Instead of 91 to 2020, it'll be 2001 to 2030, right?
Yes.
So you won't have that influence of the 96 snowstorm.
And I'm guessing that October number will
go
drop
down a little bit
in half, if not more.
But you can see that January and February, I mean, they're really neck and neck for first place. But February is the snowiest month of the year, and you know we are expecting to start getting some snow hopefully soon. I'm hoping for it at least.
But yeah, the meteorological winter season, December, January, February.
Yes.
Again, quick math. We'll call it 18 inches there.
Yeah,
So again, you average 26
19,
for the whole season, and 18 of
Most
that
of it happens
comes
in those 3 months, right?
during those 3 months. So, and then again, just 1/10, but we do average some in May. And again, I'd be interested
see if those numbers change.
With that number changes again when those new normals come out. So that's the total amount of snow, but what about the number of days with measurable snow? We can actually go and look and kind of calculate what's the average.
Okay.
And so again, just 2 days in November on average, you get measurable snow. Those numbers obviously are highest for those months that are highest for the total snowfall amount, December, January, and February. So that fits. But if you look at throughout the whole season, Carmelo, the number of occurrences that it has snowed on a particular day through the calendar, kind of maybe hard to see there. I have it highlighted in orange. but where we're at today.
Okay.
On November 22nd.
I mean, look how much we have left to go.
Yeah. So we're just getting into it. Again, if you look at the actual numbers, the snowiest day, quote unquote, Carmelo.
Is that
we
February or late January?
So if you look at it with just number of occurrences that it has snowed.
Okay.
February 4th and February 13th. It has snowed on those 2 particular days 32 times. Out of 127 years of records, it snowed 32 times.
25% of those days,
And so then February 4th, in terms of amount of snow, is your snowiest day in Lincoln. There has been 57.7 inches of snow on February 4th.
So the snowiest day almost matches the snowiest season.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So again, you can see we're just getting into the start of it there. Again, you can see a lot of November. It's generally kind of less than 10 days.
Yes.
Or 10 occurrences that it snowed on each November day. So not very often, but again, obviously that's when we're seeing a lot of our first snows. What about last snows, Carmelo?
I mean, we've never had a snow later than
Excuse me, this is the latest
first snow.
First snow, excuse me.
Latest first snow.
Latest first
roll
snow.
Off the tongue a
little bit. It does,
bit.
yeah. It could be a little bit of a...
But we've never seen one later than New Year's Eve, so we do expect, I mean, historically, I would almost say it's almost a guarantee that it's going to snow before at least a tenth of an inch before January 1st.
Yes.
So, I mean, and most of these are pretty low amounts. Maybe about half of them. I mean, 7.5 inches. We were just talking about that. That's the latest snowfall, right? That was it 1231? Yeah, 7.5. But most of these are, under 2-3 inches. I mean, there's a few. There's 4.2 inches on the 19th in 2012, but a lot of these under 1 inch.
So, but there's a chance that we might see some, or midweek next week.
Right.
Is it Tuesday morning?
It would be
Monday night to Tuesday morning. Or is it
I was
Tuesday
just reading the
night
discussion this morning. There is a chance Monday, and then another chance Wednesday into Thursday. So we have 2 chances. They're both pretty low right now. But I think everybody knows in Nebraska things could change on a whim. So
it's one of those things where if we don't get it next week,
right,
then we're going to be into December.
Yeah.
And so then we're going to start watching of like, okay, how late is this going to go?
Yeah, because December 10th, if that's 12th.
Yeah.
I mean, what we started to talk about, we're only a week and a half away from one of the latest first snowfall. So, man. But that doesn't mean we're not going to get any snow. That just proves it on New Year's Eve, 2006.
That is true. And so I said it. I got one graphic ahead of myself here, Carmelo.
Okay.
But our last snow.
Okay.
And this is what surprised us.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to hint at earlier. This that second line there, Lincoln's earliest last snowfall, January 18th, 2024. With February being the snowiest month, to think that a whole whopping 12, 13 days before that month, you got your last snowfall. And that was this year.
That was this year.
Oh, my goodness.
So you only had a trace of snowfall in February and March this year. There's no measurable snowfall in those months.
How unfortunate.
But again, you can see it's a pretty wide range here. If you look at the last 10 years, this year, obviously, January 18th. But you go back just a few years, 2020, it was mid-April. We had 4.5 inches of snow. So that's about a 4-month spread there.
See a couple Aprils in there, mostly Marches, but,
But on average, we're talking late March. March 27th is on average your last measurable snow in Lincoln. The latest last snow was May 5th, 1944.
Wow. I don't think that's going to happen.
So you celebrated May Day. You're getting your Memorial Day plans maybe
and it's
put together, and it snowed in early May.
Okay.
Again, it's only snowed 5 times in May.
Right. So
May 5th.
Pretty incredibly rare.
It is pretty rare. So we haven't even had our first one yet, but we're talking about when we might see our last one. So again,
the almanac.
these are the numbers from yesterday.
I don't think we saw any snow yesterday, Bill.
We did not see any snow yesterday. So again, obviously we haven't seen any snow so far this year. So for the month of November, you're 8/10 inch already below average. Thankfully, precip-wise, we are way above average.
For the month.
For the season, again, we didn't see it in October, so we're almost 2 inches now below normal for our snowfall this season. Again, thankfully, the rainfall, the liquid moisture has picked up, and so, again, we need the snow.
Yes.
Again, farmers like to see the snow. We need the snow. Again, this is the stuff that's going to melt, and this is the stuff that's going to hopefully set us up on the right foot as we head into the spring season, especially when you look at the drought monitor. Again, the big thing, we saw the drought monitor yesterday. You saw a lot of improvement.
Really good changes.
November, December, January, February are not typically months where you necessarily look for a ton of improvement in the drought monitor.
No. So it was. I mean, I'd like to. I don't know if we could ever look at that statistically, but it would be pretty interesting to see if that was the biggest improvement we've ever seen in 1 week. Because, I mean, we saw, I think it was 25% reduction in severe drought going to moderate drought. I mean, it was pretty incredible. But we saw widespread 1 to 2 inches this past week. So, I mean, it's going to do that for you.
Because one of the things to keep in mind as you head into the winter months is the water equivalent, liquid water equivalent.
So the farmers
of
probably
the
want the
snowfall.
heavy wet snowfall, right? Not the dry snow.
Is what we say is generally what we go with when we're trying to forecast snow is that 1 inch of liquid precipitation would be 10 inches of snow. And so a lot of times we're maybe only getting a few hundredths of an inch of liquid precipitation, and that's adding up to a few tenths of an inch of snow or whatever it might be. So there's not always a lot of necessarily liquid water in that snowfall that we do get.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens next week, you know. We definitely don't want any travel concerns, you know. We don't want anybody to be impacted by the holiday travel, but there's a couple chances. I think for at least to say precipitation, it's going to be warm enough to fall as either rain or snow right now because our highs are going to be above freezing, but our lows are going to be well below freezing. So I would say make sure to stay tuned as we get into next week. You know, things, like I said, they can obviously change within a day.
They can, absolutely, very much so. All right, anything else we need to add, Carmelo, before we let everyone go?
I don't think so. I think the next time we're talking, we're either going to talk about the latest snowfalls, you know, maybe in the top 15, top 12, or we're going to talk about Thanksgiving week. We saw some snow.
That is
so
true.
We'll see.
All right, appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching it. Hope you learned a little bit. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, you can find all the weather academies that we've done. Again, we've done everything from tornadoes to now Snowfall Climatology. You can find that on 1011now.com. You search Weather Academy, or you can go to our YouTube channel, and we've got a playlist there with all the ones that we've done as well. So appreciate everyone for tuning in, watching, and until next time, hope everyone has a nice today's Friday. Has a nice Friday. Has a nice Thanksgiving next week. So yeah, appreciate that. And keep tuned to 1011 on air and online for all of your latest news, weather, and sports. We'll see you next time.